of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Heavenly Father, we just thank you for the opportunity that we can meet today and do people's work. We ask that everything that we do and say pleasing to you. We want to thank you for all the people who put their names out to run for election, for the job ends up with criticism on both sides. And we ask that you help us maintain our respect for everyone. In Jesus' precious name.
Thank you. All right, I assume you all got a copy of the minutes, and I think there was an agenda copy sent out. Did everybody get a copy of that to see and read? And so I would ask for a motion to approve the minutes of our last meeting, which is at the end. Move to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Greg, second. Okay. Any changes or discussions if you've seen the amendment? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right. Move on to public comment regarding the agenda items. If you do get up to speak, I would just keep it 3 minutes or less. Seeing none, we'll move right along to money matters.
Are you discussing ERAs?
Oh, huh?
Are you discussing ERAs today? Is that an agenda item?
Yes.
There's no microphone. So I guess I'm just supposed to speak loud and clear.
Real loud.
Real loud. Okay, I'll try that. So, from my understanding, you're going to be discussing economic revitalization areas. And my name is April Johnson. I live in Madison Township. And Madison Township is one of those that has been deemed an economic revitalization area. And so, if you don't mind, I'm just going to read what an economic revitalization area is according to the determination here that the council did several years ago. Montgomery County Council has made a resolution to designate Madison and Sugar Creek Townships as an economic revitalization area, which is defined by the Indiana State Code to mean an area which is within the corporate limits, a city, town, or county, which has become undesirable or impossible of normal development and occupancy. Whew, a little short of breath. Because of the lack of development, cessation of growth, deterioration of improvements, or character of occupancy, age, obsolescence, substandard buildings, and other factors which have impaired the values or prevent a normal development of property or the use of property. So, and it continues to say this is for the wind projects, that the footprint of the wind project would be wholly within the Madison and Sugar Creek Township ERA. My question is, why is it the area that I live in is considered an economic revitalization area? So as I drive from my house, and some of you know where I live on 450 East. And when I drive on 800 North to 231, I pass a genetic seed research business. I pass another home that I think is absolute picture perfect, belongs on the cover of Rural Magazine, of a farm that does a llama business. It is absolutely beautiful. And I know this farmer travels around the world showing llamas. Right down from that house, not getting off the road, but looking down the road, I see someone who sells silkies. And those silky chickens travel and sugar around the country at least. Around the corner from her is another gal who has an Etsy shop and a sign business. No bright lights, big city signs. It's in the privacy of her own home. I keep going down 800. I see some pretty nice farmhouses. I keep going. I see Denhart's. They have another feed and mercantile business that caters to the area of agricultural business. They also have a retail shop right there. Right there are 4 agricultural businesses, and we live in an agricultural area. Therefore, we should expect an agricultural business and an agricultural area. 4 of those those relate right to the industry in the area. And then the Etsy shop, and there's lots of other businesses. If I knew more, I'd tell you more about the other businesses right down the road. But I don't know enough about their personal business because I'm not looking at their tax returns. Okay. And so what I want to do is say, we are not a dump that you're calling us to be. And it appears that that's what the wind turbines need to build. Ooh, that's a harsh sound.
Smarter than I am. Thank you, April.
Thank you.
Any other public comment? All right. Seeing none, we'll move on to money matters. And these are additionals. Looks like the jail is up for a couple of them.
We've got 2 to 1 for the meals, the 261.60. It's just employee reimbursement for the meals. And then the extradition, the 1,038.89. It's an extradition we completed that was reimbursed by probation for us doing that extradition.
Okay.
Move to approve 1 and 2.
Don seconded. Any other questions for Ryan? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. Stormwater management operations.
Yeah, the first is $738 be appropriated into the equipment and running the stormwater user fee fund. This is paid for new tires on the truck.
Okay. All right. You want to do number 4 while we're at it?
Sure, that is the appropriation to complete the payment of the 2018 section 4 contract.
Don moves to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Gary, any questions or comments on these? So you're running the tires off your truck?
Well, when we leased it, it only had road tires on it. Obviously, I needed something more all-terrain type. So I drove it until I had the leaks in all 3 of the 4 tires, and then I blew one. So I just figured it was time to bite the bullet.
Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Thanks.
Thanks, Tom. Probation.
But we need to get some additional funds for juvenile chemical testing, just to help us throughout the rest of the year.
All right. Gary moves to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Mark's good. Any questions for Mark on this? All right. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right. Looks like the rest of them might be for Ryan. Candy.
Now, this is for lines 6, 7, 8, and 9. All are related to grants that we have been awarded and need approval for equipment. One is for conferences, and the other, of course, is for the Stop the Bleed and courses and TECC courses that we've had that our medics have been teaching the last several months.
Do I hear a motion to approve these grants?
So moved.
Second. Mark, second. Any questions for Brian on all this? This will all be reimbursed, right? This is grant money?
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you. Community Crossings grant money? Who's going to handle that?
I can explain it if you want me to.
Sure.
Basically, when they did their original appropriations for this fund, last year at this time, I think it was last year at this time, yeah, they didn't appropriate the match amount. So, you know, we're spending it all, not just the money from the state. So this is just their match amount. We have to appropriate that amount too. So it's just an oversight, and then this will make it possible for them to spend the money that is actually in that fund.
Do I hear a motion to approve this? Gary, a second? I'll second. Any other questions about that? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The drug-free money?
So 11, 12, and 13, those are, we were the recipient of a grant from the Montgomery County Community Foundation, working on behalf of drug-free Montgomery County. And this is just to appropriate that money into the lines that we requested. So we already got the check, we deposited, it's just determining where it goes.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve this?
So moved.
Greg? Second. Don, second. Any questions for Amber on this? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thanks, Amber. Now we're going to do transfers.
And my first one is just what it says. I need to move money from dues and subscriptions to seminars and training to cover the cost of my training classes for this year.
Okay. This will cover?
Yep.
Need a motion to approve this
So
transfer?
moved.
Mark? Second?
Second.
Any questions about it? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And the next two, next two. Lawyer bills, financial consultant bills. I don't know, we just need to transfer some money out of special legal to cover these bills. Thinking this will get us through the end of the year is what we were thinking. I would entertain a motion to approve these transfers. Gary, I hear a second. Don, second. Any questions about that? Lawyer sitting right here. This will cover us through the year probably. Unless.
I hope so.
So good. Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right. Looks like you're gonna get paid. And let's send a couple of the courts. One of them's from copy release to site evals, the other one's from law clerk to copy release, 2 different courts. Assuming the money is all in place and ready to be transferred, Jim?
These are just appropriations. Well, they're transfer of appropriations.
Okay. Entertain motions to approve those? Don? Second? Any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Probation? Looks like we're just moving from line to line on that, Jim, for salaries.
Yes, they have two, lines 6 and 7. But they're just moving it from one officer line to another officer line.
Okay. Entertain motion to approve this transfer?
Move to approve 6 and 7.
Second.
Gary, second. Any questions about that? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The next three are for the weights and measures. transfers. Entertain a motion to approve these transfers. Don, in a second? I'll second. Any questions about that? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Aye. Okay. Ryan, looks like you may be up for the next meeting.
We've got 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, and 16, they're just transfers. Most of these are to cover a new promotion for like the jail corporal, staying in that line. That's what most of these are for. I'd be happy to explain any of them if you have a certain question on any specific one. Just transfers.
Entertain a motion to approve these transfers.
Second.
Any questions for Ryan on any of these? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Thank you.
Thanks, Ryan. Looks like 17 through 23 are for the probation department, transferring some funds.
It's actually 17 through 25.
Okay. Entertain a motion on this, 17 through 25. I'll move. Approval. There's a second. Second. Gary, second. Anybody have any questions on this? Looks like they're doing a lot of chemical testing. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, takes care of those. Reductions. 1 through,
Maybe 1 through 12.
yes.
All the pay line reductions with the exception of number 12. Just additional money right now that we don't need. Just reducing those lines.
Do I hear a motion to approve these reductions in the sheriff's budgets?
So moved.
Second.
Now, the vehicle purchase is staying in the cap development budget, right? Jim?
I'm sorry?
Don't need to be sorry.
Well, I don't know what your question is.
The vehicle purchase money that wasn't used is staying in the cap development, the way we understood it.
So you don't want to approve that reduction?
Yeah, we'll approve that reduction.
Yeah, the cash will stay there.
Right.
This is
right.
just permission to spend, so.
Okay. All right. We have a motion. Second. Okay. All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Jim, I'm sorry.
No, that was just the question, was that discussion became part of the software, is that still the purpose of that?
I think so. I mean, as per our discussion.
Right, yep, I just want to make sure. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Okay, going forward as part of the salary ordinance, first reading for the 2019 budget year. What we approved at the budget hearing last time. So, any questions or problems with the ordinance? Well, the lawyer said I had to read the whole thing out loud, but I'm not going to. Several pages of salaries. But I will read the introduction. Be it ordained by the Montgomery County Council, Montgomery County, Indiana, that the purpose of the county government and its institutions for the year ending December 31, 2019, the following sums of money are hereby appropriated in order to set apart out of several funds herein named for the purpose, herein specified, subject to the laws governing the same. Such sums herein appropriated shall be held to include all expenditures authorized to be made during the year unless otherwise expressly stipulated and approved by law. All in herein sounds like it was written by a lawyer. So. Anybody on the council have any discussion on this salary ordinance? I think the first committee we had did a great job trying to explain the matrix we came up with to a banker yesterday. He was pretty impressed with what you guys came up with, so you did a good job on that. I appreciate your efforts. And if anybody wants a copy of this, just let us know and we can try to get you one. Okay. Have this, Pete. Okay. And then the next item of business is the appropriations ordinance, which is basically the budget we passed. And the introduction to it says the same thing, so I hope you remembered what I said the last time. And also, does anybody on the council have any discussions on that? And if anybody wants a copy of this, we want to. I think it's on the website. Right here. Okay, moving along to the ERA discussion. Do what? Yes, first reading. Unless you want to suspend the rules and go on. You were on. We had discussed the ERA in previous meetings and contacted Rob, and he has a pretty good understanding of how that all works and what we can do to go about rescinding the ERA if we so choose. So I'm going to let Rob talk to us about that. Enlighten us.
Thanks, Terry. So several council members asked me a month or so ago to start looking into the ERAs in the area, and I think Ms. Johnson was actually accurate that there was one established, a resolution in 2013, it was actually 2013-9, that declared certain areas of Madison and Sugar Creek Township to be ERAs, that's economic revitalization areas. And the resolution found that the areas had become undesirable for or impossible of normal development and occupancy because of the lack of development, cessation of growth, deterioration of improvements or character occupancy, age, obsolescence, substandard buildings, and other factors that have impaired its values. So the resolution also further found that Sugar Creek Wind LLC could be attracted if ERAs were designated in those areas. So there was a public hearing held on October 1st of 2013, and after that hearing the council declared the final designation of those areas as ERAs. So the council was interested in what could be done about those areas, And so, investigating it, the Indiana Code really doesn't seem to come out and say a manner in which you would rescind an ERA, but I still feel like the council has the power to do that. It's something that if the council wants to do that, they would have to, first of all, sort of employ the same procedures that they employed back in 2013 to establish that. And that would consist of a preliminary resolution finding that the underlying areas, the underlying reasons rather, that gave rise for the ERAs are no longer exist, or they had not been enhanced by the designation that it received in 2013. There would have to be, of course, a public hearing on the issue to receive public input, and if the council then found that rescinding the ERA was something they wanted to do, then a confirmatory resolution would have to be declared. So understand that if there's any existing, and I didn't look into this, if there are any existing abatements or from previously filed or any approved statement of benefits that were done in the interim between 2013 and now, then obviously those would be honored and could not be rescinded. And as long as they're providing evidence of compliance and any compliance with the economic or job creation commitments that they had resolved to do. So, again, the council would just have to take similar steps it took back in 2013, and then after a public hearing, make its decision.
Thank you, Ronald. So, gentlemen, what is your desire on this? How much notice, Jennifer, how much notice would you need to set a public hearing for this?
That would be a question for the guy to your left.
Actually, I have to look into that.
I don't know. I wasn't in the picture.
It would be typical of what our standard public notice would be, I think.
So we would come to that our next council meeting there.
I'll check and make sure.
Okay.
Are there any representatives from those townships or trustees from that section? I'm just asking.
What was your question, Don?
I said, are the trustees from Madison or Sugar Creek Township here, should they have some input? I guess it'll be noticed that they will.
Well,
I think that's a good point. We should have some input from them, the township trustees, if they could be invited to that meeting. I think they should definitely have input on that. The other question I have is, aside from the obvious windmill company wanting to move in, is there any other things from the commissioners that's been done that has to pertain with that would be negative or positive to revoke them?
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, that is the practice to give tax abatement. So it was nothing nefarious done at the time. That's how you get tax abatement. So I think there's been some talk in the community that was done as a tactic or a trick, maybe, if that word used. But it's not. That's the process of going about tax abatement at the time. 10 years ago, wasn't anybody complaining about it. Now I'm happy that you guys are going down this path. I think that will help us, honestly, from what the people want in this community. I think I'm happy you're going down this, using this strategy.
it's our main goal to keep you happy, too.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah, I was kind of under the impression that it kind of was a parallel thing, that, maybe a company was wanting to come into a community, they would contact somebody to create an ERA so that they could get those abatements. I thought it was kind of step by step happening, but nothing has happened business-wise or otherwise to justify this, I think. So, do you have something, Mark?
Yeah, I think you're exactly right, that was the reason for the designation, was the paralleling with the Sugar Creek wind at the time. An ERA can be established either by request by a personal property owner, landowner, or it can be established through the fiscal body of a city or a county. In this case, it was not done by a private landowner, it was done by the fiscal body, and it was done at what was that time was deemed as a good plan to bring wind energy into Montgomery County for the benefit of the county, for the people who were in charge at the time, saw this as a benefit because of the money that they would bring in and the taxes that, the jobs they would create and all those things. I'm not saying that I would not in the future designate an ERA, but I would only probably be willing to do that if the landowner or the property owner themselves were requesting it, and if it were truly a slum situation where it was obvious that we were going to be able to clean up an area, or someone was going to be able to get tax abatements to clean up an area. I understand that the ERA designation is, you know, all the verbiage in it is the verbiage, and I understand that it wasn't done to actually say that these people are no good, worthless people, and their houses are up. The verbiage is the verbiage, but I have this feeling that, you know, one of the responsibilities of the designating body, if they're going to declare an area, an ERA, and when I say an area, this is a big area, that they need to review the facts. And I don't think the facts were ever really reviewed. It was more of a standard procedure to adopt the ERA, get it done, give the tax abatement. I don't think they ever really went and asked the people that lived in those townships whether they thought that was good, and I just think the reviewing was not done properly. Also, I don't believe that an SB1 form has ever been produced that has a signature on it. I know the commissioners took steps to back up the tax abatement because of the time that has passed since it was established. So it's already been stepped back to the point where there is no reason for this area to be an ERA. And if someone wants to come in and say, we want to